She grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, got her bachelor's degree in marine biology from the University of West Florida. She was one of 43, because I counted, individuals selected to be a part of the Leadership Pensacola Class 2020, and currently the executive director of Keep Pensacola Beautiful, an environmental nonprofit in Pensacola, Florida. Fearless socializer, toilet paper tube recycler, alligator lover, Sigrid Solgard. Woo!
Thanks.
You're welcome. And welcome to Corte de Luna.
Yeah, awesome. Where we met.
This is where we met. Yeah, origin story. So we were at a networking event. Awkward. You're not awkward, but I always feel a bit awkward at those things.
I'm like, I have to go make a friend. And like, if the most awkward person in the room, I'm like, I'm going to go be their friend.
Aww.
I don't know what it is. I'm like, hey, I'm Sigrid. You know, I just like, and I wasn't always like that. You just
Now
have to
I'll
develop this.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'll know if we're at a networking event again, I'm going to watch who you go to and be like, she thinks that person's awkward.
Yes.
Secrets out.
Yeah.
So, wait a minute. Does that mean you think I was awkward?
I think I just ran into you guys. Literally, you were with Essential Oils girl. I don't
Kari.
know. Kari.
Uh-huh.
And I literally was looking at the raffle prizes or the drawing prizes, and I like turn around and you guys are right there. So it's just,
Yeah. And then you were like, hey, and you said, I'm Sigrid Solgard. And I was like, are you from the Midwest? And
Yeah.
then that was it.
that was when I knew I liked you.
That was it.
Mhm.
Boom. Winning. So I was surprised that you haven't been at Keep Pensacola very long. Keep Pensacola Beautiful very long.
Yeah. Since 2016. So whatever that is. Almost 4 years, 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Thanks.
But you're like the variety of stuff, like we were talking before we got started, that you've done is a lot.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that you were homeschooled. Like, I feel like I've
Yeah.
learned so much about you
Oh
already.
my gosh. I feel like I'm allowed to say this, but like I've had a very eclectic life so far.
Which is probably why we get along.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Eclectic. That's a good
Mhm.
word.
I know.
Yeah.
like
So did you always want to work for a nonprofit because your degree's in marine biology?
Nope.
What happened was
kind of fell into it, honestly. You know, for the longest time, so the ocean obsession kind of evolved over the years. So like I actually did film school in Minneapolis. So I actually started film school a month after I turned 17.
Oh.
So I was
That's
the
serious.
youngest. Yeah. So you know dual enrollment for high school students?
Yeah.
I did that before they made the regulation where high school students could only take a certain number of credit hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my whole associate's degree for free
Oh.
because they didn't put any limitations on you.
So you were in public school from little to 10.
So I was in a private school
Yeah.
called Waldorf School.
Oh, okay.
Which is it's like a European dude who formed this curriculum and brought it over to the States. And it's very like, they integrate nature into literally everything. Yeah.
Did you go to an outside kindergarten?
We were outside quite a lot. Yeah. It wasn't completely outside, but yeah. So we did a lot of nature stuff. I mean, now looking back, I can kind of see how I ended up where I am because it was just like, from the beginning, you know, I was just like, okay, so this is a great example. In first grade, they have a class called handwork where you literally everybody, boys, girls, doesn't matter. Everybody learns to knit and crochet. And the first day of handwork, I remember they gave us these wooden dowels and we went outside to sharpen them into points on the sidewalk.
In first grade.
They
handed you knives and set you outside.
No, dowels, wooden dowels. You know, those little just rods.
But how do you sharpen them?
On the sidewalk.
Oh.
You literally just scrape them on the sidewalk until they form a point.
Uh-huh.
And those are your knitting needles. Yeah.
What?
Which, I mean, no one would ever do that now.
No.
Let kids make things into points.
No. Mm-mm.
So that was a great example of like the hands-on quality of the education there at Waldorf School. So I did that through age 10.
Uh-huh.
And then I was homeschooled age 10 to age I guess 18 technically because, well, okay. And then I went to school in there. I went to school for 9th grade and 10th grade.
Okay.
And then I was homeschooled again for 11th grade and 12th grade so that I could go to college full time. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
So.
I'm just sort of like, I'm comparing myself is what's happening up in here. Because that was not my life. Because even though it was Nebraska, I mean, you were in Minneapolis. So you got a lot of really cool resources there. In Plattsmouth, Nebraska, we do not. Or maybe they do now.
Yeah.
But back then, it was just more of a typical, river town. And on the weekends, we went and shot beer cans at the river. Nice. And it was great. I loved all that. Dad would take me in the Roadrunner and he would floor it and don't tell Mom.
Right. Yeah. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, they don't do guns there.
Oh. What?
They just don't like guns.
In Minneapolis?
I mean, if you go north Minnesota.
Oh, no. Guns were like Thanksgiving, for example.
Yeah.
That was, it was kind of a tradition. It was really cool. The cousins would get the guns out and we would go in the backyard, which, yes, was a cornfield.
Right.
And we would shoot things. And then we would get the bow and arrow and we would, do that. And it was really cool.
You must have great aim.
It's not bad. It's been a really long time.
Yeah.
So, but I was in high school when the Littleton, Colorado shootings happened.
Oh.
And so that really affected my sentiment towards guns, although I'm still think it's important to have gun rights. But I've sort of like less enthusiastic now.
Right.
Because that was, right when we were in high school. So it was right next door in Colorado.
Right. True.
So, anyway.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
So back to your schooling. So you went to film school.
Right.
And what made you decide to go to film school?
So growing up, I loved making movies on our little home movie camera.
Yeah.
I just did that all the time. My friend and I even made like a stop motion movie.
What?
Yeah.
Like
out of
clay?
They were like these little wooden dolls. And we would literally start and stop the camera. It was tape, We would start and stop the camera and then move it to the next thing and then start it. And like we would narrate, we would kind of say the lines of these little wooden dolls. We were literally doing an actual story. It was called A Hidden Magic and it's a kid's book. And so we were like reading this book as So by starting and stopping the tape that many times, the tape stretched out and literally just came apart when you like tried to play it on the VCR.
Aww.
I know.
That's sad.
But yeah, so we were just making movies and I loved like the composition of things, putting together a shot. That was the part that I loved. And then I went to film school and I learned that you have to be an absolute gearhead.
Oh.
Tech nerd.
Yeah.
No offense,
guys. no offense, boys.
Offense, guys.
Which is why they're here. Because
exactly. And I so admire people who do that because I just couldn't get into it. And there was, technology was evolving so fast. And then like the people who I went to school with were like that.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, have you seen this lens that just came out? And I'm like, what? I couldn't keep up. So there were obviously these defined roles that people over the 2 years of film school, people kind of fell into their niche.
Yeah.
And I just did not have a niche. Except now looking back, I have a niche for sure. And I kind of wish that I had kept on that track a little bit. There's like some remorse there because I would love to do set design and construction. And I was doing that for a little bit. And I just thought that I wanted to be behind a camera. So I was kind of fighting it a little bit. And now looking back, I'm like, that's actually what I liked.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see. I'm not an early adapter.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to technology, my husband and I went to the bank the other day, and the manager there, she had a docking station for her computer, and I have a tower, like it is a computer, like a tower, and it's large and clunky with a mouse with a cord, and there's like, nothing. It's old.
Yeah.
And Garrett's like, I think you need a docking station like that. And I was like, oh, that's a docking station.
Right.
And he's like, it's okay. You didn't know. Came out in like 2002. Why would you know that? And I'm like, shut up.
It was too recent.
Yeah, exactly. It was yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
So then from the film school, not feeling like a tech person.
Right. Okay. So there. Yeah. Sorry. The segue from film school to marine biology was that I thought that my niche would be underwater videography. And so I tried that for a little bit too, and just couldn't be the gearhead technical person that I need to be for that either. And then I was like, well, I just really love the ocean. Like, I think I just want to, you know, scuba dive and not worry about a camera. You know, I'll just do this because I like it and not worry about trying to get jobs filming things underwater.
Right.
And so, and then I took a year after I graduated with my associates. I took a year off to work in film in Minneapolis. And then during that time, I was kind of looking for a 4-year school to kind of finish my film degree. And I applied to some. I am very proud of the fact that I got into the San Francisco Art Institute, which there's only like 200 students.
Dang.
Yeah, I was very impressed with myself, but I couldn't afford that. So I had applied to other art schools, and they were exclusive art schools. And by the time I wanted to go to a 4-year school, I was like, well, maybe I don't want to do art. And so UWF happened to be one of the schools that I applied to that wasn't an art school.
Yeah.
And I went and visited, and I was like, wow, I love this campus.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll go here and just do something else. And then it was marine biology.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so funny. So I draw and paint and do all that stuff. When I was in Nebraska, my bedroom was covered in pictures from an encyclopedia.
Nice.
We didn't have the whole thing, but F was one we had. So it was a lot of fish.
Nice.
And so I had these pictures of different fish and then all the seashells that I collected from vacationing here with my family laid out along with some rocks. And when people came over to see my mom, I would grab their hand and escort them to my museum.
Right.
And give them a probably excruciatingly long tour.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
That is so adorable.
Yeah.
I bet they thought it was really cute.
Nerd level 5,000.
Yeah.
And then when I was in high school, I took art. And my teacher, Miss Cardisco, said, "You're so talented, but you're so slow."
Oh.
And I was like, that's accurate. And so,
well, why does it matter if you're slow?
because I couldn't finish assignments.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm not going to go to college for art, because it was kind of in the back of my mind as well.
Right.
Never the film thing though. I auditioned for stuff, but I was so scared,
Yeah.
so nervous, and I would just be a big ball of nerves and sing off tune and forget things. And so that didn't last long, which is funny now,
Yeah.
right? Considering I do all that stuff all the time.
I know.
But so I also loved the ocean. It was like, I'm going to be a marine biologist.
Yeah.
That cracks me up. Couldn't pass math or science class, like not a single class. And I was like, you want me to measure? Listen, I just want to know the names of the animals.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Why am I measuring?
I know. I am in your same boat. I was never good at math. Never, ever. But in high school, the 1 year of high school that I did go to, everybody wanted to be my partner in biology because I was just the best. But
And
not
you-
math.
You like teamwork, group work?
Oh, no.
Me neither.
No. It was kind of frustrating that everybody wanted to be my partner. But there was something that you said that reminded me of something else, and now I can't remember what it was.
We were eventually working up to your decision to...
Oh, going back pre-film school, I was a huge theater nerd all throughout homeschooling. So that was like what we did, the Minneapolis homeschoolers. And there were a lot of us, which a lot of people are confused about because they're like, how did you make friends? Like,
No.
how are you so social? Like, that was the question I got all the time. And it's like, well, I'm hardly ever at home.
Yeah.
Like, as a homeschooler, you're not limited to going to school, so you can literally do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. And so all the homeschoolers in Minneapolis, they had this theater group that was just for homeschool kids. And so twice a year we would put on plays, like a winter play and a spring play.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did plays with youth group.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
and they had to trick me into certain parts because I was so nervous.
Really?
Like, I got this part and they said, oh, by the way, this is like halfway through production or whatever, like getting ready to come up to the day.
Yeah.
You're going to sing 2 solos. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm. And then you had no choice at that
I
point.
had no choice. And I sang it really off key. the first or one of the times, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that it was off key. Because, you know, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience.
A little bit.
And people were coming up to me, consoling me, and that's how I knew I was off key. Isn't that bad? They were like,
It's
it's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
You were a blessing. It's okay. And I was like, what's okay?
I did great.
I sounded
right?
like a dying cat. That's what's okay.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the job at Keep Pensacola Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw one of the things that you were proud of was turning around a nonprofit. Was that the nonprofit you were turning around?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever told you the story.
No.
Where to begin? So Keep Pensacola Beautiful has been around for 40 years.
What?
Yeah. So we were founded in 1979. And at that time, you know, people were just littering like there was no tomorrow, you know, like it was just really trashy. You probably wouldn't recognize Pensacola under all the piles of trash that they had, you know?
Sad.
So, and then there was that shift happening, you know, where people were really focused on environmental stuff and, you know, having a beautiful place to live. So
I'm pretty sure it was that commercial in the 80s of the Native
crying
American.
Indian.
Yeah.
That's what they call them.
Yeah, the crying Indian.
Yeah.
It made an impact. There was also a commercial about a fish drowning because we were taking all his water while brushing our teeth. And that hurt my feelings. And I was like,
I didn't know that.
And so I
one.
was like the police in my house. Like I was like the enviro police.
Right. Like, turn off that water.
Oh, absolutely. Are we recycling that?
Yeah.
Meredith, we don't have recycling in our town. Well, let's drive it.
Yeah. To the next town.
Give it to me. I'm going to make an art project.
Yep.
Which I never did. So my room looked like
You just have
a garbage can.
a recycling center.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway,
So yeah.
the 80s turned things around.
Yeah, and they wanted to form this group, you know. We were originally called the Pensacola Escambia Clean Community Commission.
Mistake number one.
Yeah. So we were called that for a while. They did a lot of good things. Not a lot is known about the history of our organization. So I've just pieced this together. Yeah. There were records kept, but not great ones.
Yeah.
So that's part of, you know, when I have time someday, I would like to go through all of our historical documents and kind of try and piecemeal everything together.
Well, maybe somebody listening will know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, you run into a lot of people who are like, oh, I used to be on the board. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, what?
Can we have
Tell
coffee?
me. Yeah. And they don't really have much to say about it, which is weird.
That is weird.
But
But a lot of nonprofits are not organized.
No,
And
they're not.
So that's why I was so impressed when I met you, because you're good at making people want to participate,
oh, good.
which is the goal.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about that. So because and especially in the environmental world, there's so much like everyone picks a team. I'm like, literally, we're on the same planet. There's no team. There's one team.
Yeah.
It's called We Live Here.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's not a political issue.
You need to start your own nonprofit called We All Live Here.
called Pick Up Your Trash.
Right.
Seriously. It's going to be a real direct message.
Yeah.
But see, even me saying that is like kind of divisive, because I'm like, hey, you pick up your trash. You know,
Right.
like finding a reason to get angry with somebody.
Right.
But it's like the Tom Sawyer, right? Like painting the fence.
Right.
And that's what you do, which is
We do. Yeah. We do things.
Yeah.
And then like literally it's our staff who does things.
yeah,
Like in January of this year, we planted 40 trees.
that's amazing.
And most of it was us planting the trees. You know, like we try and recruit volunteers, but well, and I'll get to that more later, but like a lot of the time we've struggled getting volunteers because no one wants to pick up trash.
No. So what advice would you give someone who is trying to rally for their cause, and it's a cause similar to environmental awareness, where it easily becomes us versus them?
For me, it's all about just leading by example. I mean, you just, like I said, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And then kind of, I don't know, for us, we just demonstrate that it's easy. You know, it's not hard. We're not asking you to alter your entire lifestyle and, you know, stop buying the things that you need on a daily basis because, you know, whatever. So I don't know, just leading by example and
Making it look fun.
making it look fun and
Yeah.
easy and trendy. Because
trendy.
it is. I mean, it's all about making it look trendy.
It's so true.
Yeah.
FOMO.
It is.
Environmental FOMO.
Exactly. I love that.
So I have some real tips on how to get people on board with your cause. So tell me what you think of these and chime in.
Okay.
The first one was, when it comes to social change, be Tom Sawyer, not fur protesters. Because, the fur protesters, they're a little extra.
Yeah.
They're why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Loud and proud protesters make the news. Shaming people's choices makes you feel good short term, but creating enthusiasm is contagious. And really, that's what sales is.
Exactly. You have to be a good salesperson.
Yeah, exactly. And then number 2, look for ways to allow people to be part of your cause without being 100% in.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for us, literally, was that your last one?
No.
Okay, because I was going to just go off on a thing
On
there.
a tangent?
Yeah. So okay, read that again.
So look for ways to allow people to be a part of your cause without being 100% in.
Yes. Okay. So literally everything to do with environmentalism and just everything else is all interconnected.
It is.
And so for us, one of our biggest struggles has been finding ways to show other people that they do actually care.
Yeah.
Or it's connected to something that they already care about. So just drawing those connections for people is excuse me.
It's important.
I just teared up. No, I'm just kidding.
I couldn't tell. I'm like, she's choking or she's tearing up.
That's something that happens to me. I get a weird, I inhale and just dry throat automatically.
You choke on your own spit. It's cool.
Yeah,
I do too.
No, just the air, literally.
Just choke on the air. It is everywhere.
Let's try that again. Yeah. So we just help people draw connections to things that they care about.
That's so good because they may not jump onto your cause 100%.
Right.
But they can be part of the team by the toilet paper tube.
Yeah.
Recycling your toilet paper tube. That is so, it sticks with me. And I guess weirdly, I think of you every time.
That's great. See, I want that to happen. I know, because nobody thinks to do that.
Yeah, it's great.
I've only been doing that for a couple years.
I never thought of
this
it.
is cardboard. I recycle all other cardboard, but just the toilet paper tube is in the bathroom, so it goes in the trash can in the bathroom.
Right.
Nope.
It does help to have a small house because my recycle bin's boop, right over there.
Yeah, right there.
So it's easy.
Across from your toilet.
Not far. You can come over sometime and I'll show you. So number 3 was investigate with open ears and a closed mouth. What makes people resistant to your movement? Ask yourself, what would I need to change my mind about this if I felt like they did? So putting yourself in the shoes of people that are triggered by a recycle sign or the
Triggered
straw
negatively?
Yeah, the straw thing. I've seen some people kind of go overboard the other way.
Yeah,
and I'm
for sure.
I don't understand. It's a straw.
Well,
the cup is clean.
Right.
Just don't have
You're
a
an
straw.
adult. Yeah. You don't need a sippy cup. And I'm drinking out of a sippy cup.
Literally, a Turvis is a Southern sippy cup.
It is a Southern sippy cup.
And you're not Southern until you have a Turvis. So
I should just take this lid off to prove a point. Just drink from it.
Wild and crazy.
But so people are why straws? That's not the most important thing. We should be doing so much more. And it's but this is a great place to start.
It is.
Because it's an unnecessary use of plastic.
Yeah.
And
I think it's an option. It's back to, point number 2 of looking for ways that you can be a part of the team without necessarily being a full convert.
Exactly.
You can kind of I'm going to substitute this and this, make these little tweaks so that I can feel, basically so we can feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No. And we're no matter what we do, we're always going to be throwing out massive amounts of trash. And it's might as well just cut down on a little bit, and whether it goes in the ocean or the landfill, we're going to run out of landfill space eventually.
To the moon, Alice.
Yeah. Right.
So number 4 is ask questions. Embrace I don't know over hand-me-down answers. Be open and give answers. Always cultivate curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes we accidentally have those hand-me-down beliefs of...
Right.
And they're not even that deep. They're not always just beliefs. They're just habits, throwing away something that you can recycle or using less of something. But I think progress is part of my like core values, and it's actually thankfully also what makes me really happy is progress. I loved, if I'm not progressing in something, I get really stir crazy. So learning other people's perspective is part of progress, and I think we can all benefit from
Absolutely.
that. So as we wrap up, tell people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah. So, Keep Pensacola Beautiful is on all the social media platforms.
All the things.
So just search Keep Pensacola Beautiful and you'll probably find us. Our website is keeppensacolabbeautiful.org. And we do love volunteers. You know, we don't always want to plant the trees by ourselves. So we love volunteers. And just if we have some time, I'll go over like what kind of volunteer opportunities we have.
Yeah.
So we do pick up a lot of trash. I mean, people still do love to do that. I'm not putting a blanket statement on everybody saying they hate picking up trash.
It's strangely fun.
It's really, because it's an instant gratification thing.
It's dopamine hit.
Yeah, because you're like, wow, this looks completely different from when I just started. And it's something that you can see immediately. But the downside of that is that they get tired of doing the same thing in the same place every single week, you know, because they're like, wow, I just picked this up last week. Like, and now it's completely trashed again. So that's where it comes in. Like the fatigue kind of sets in. But we also this past year started this program called Paint Your Heart Out. And that is a beautification initiative. So we have accepted nominations from the community, and we're trying to assist, you know, elderly, disabled, you know, veterans, single parents, you know, people who need a little extra help beautifying the exterior of their home. You know,
that's cool.
So
that's a great way to connect the people with the environmental cause.
Yeah, for sure. And it, you know, we are about community building too, and quality of life. Quality of life is literally in our mission statement. So we want people to come out and meet their neighbors, you know, who they've never met before, and form those connections. So volunteer to help paint someone's house with us. Yeah.
That's cool. So they can find all those volunteer opportunities on the website.
Yep. On the website, on Facebook. Yep.
Cool.
I didn't even get into the actual story of the transformation of the organization. I guess that's an episode for another time.
We'll have to do like part two.
Part two
to be continued. Or people could come volunteer with you.
And then just hear it.
And it could be,
but we don't want to tell that story. We don't want to tell that
No.
story because we're trying to move on from that. You know, we have been known as the trash organization for so long, like the sanitation company. And now we're trying to be known as the beautification company. So we are trying to do this transformation and talk about that instead of like the process. We want to talk about where we're at now.
That's good. Okay.
But I would share it with you.
Well, maybe we'll have to do some sort of like mini-sode of sharing or something. So
there we go.
Thank you so much. That is a wrap.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. High five, girl. Woo.